Very glad to be here in Satyabama University to present this TED Talk on resilience. It's a beautiful Monday afternoon. I think Satyabama is known for the food that they serve. Academical interest order. I think, the food that they serve here is something that has been a very big inspiration for people like me. When I did my college, I was unfortunate that I was not part of Satyabama, just because, not only because of the academic side, but also because of the food that, your university provides. Every single person who comes inside, they're all left only with the tummy full of happiness and fantastic food. So it's such a pleasure to be here. And my friends from school, college, and workspace know me as Uma Shankar, but my business fraternity and the restaurant side know me as Prabhu. So I run a global chain of restaurants in the name of Erode Aman Mess. Presently, we are in Chennai and another 4 countries in Asia. So to talk about my story, not that big person to talk about a story, but I have very few things which might connect to all the students here. So a regular kid, second kid from a middle class family, born and raised in Chennai. So I did my schooling from Ekmo Don Bosco, Chennai, and my elder brother and myself both went to the school together. And he was the topper in school. He was my elder brother was, he was extremely good at studies, at cultural activities, the favorite of the teacher. So you must understand why I'm telling this. I am actually the weak link. So I am the last bencher. So all my friends behind that. So I'm you actually. So it's been actually a very tough time for me until I did my 12th grade, because whatever I do at school, it will be reported at home by my brother. So that's exactly what he used to do. And there's not a single teacher whom I have not went for tuition to. So such an outstanding student actually. Outstanding in the humor side. I've always been outside the classes. So my parents actually were very, very worried about my well-being. They were always concerned, what is this guy going to do? So that's the story during my childhood. And as many of you here, I didn't also do well in mathematics. So even in school, every single grade, it's been a very difficult time for me to clear mathematics. And eventually I chose science. For some reason I was very interested with biology, zoology and stuff. So I chose the science group and somehow managed to clear my 12th exams. And then I wanted to do medicine, but my marks didn't support. So I was very good in science alone, but my mathematics again, it was just somewhere around 40, 45 or something. So again I had to choose a career which I was not so interested to, because if it was a medical side, yes, I would have been very interested, but I had to choose engineering for the reason because I didn't perform well. I managed to complete my engineering too, somehow, So it's been a struggle. Mathematics has been a problem right from child, and again, I almost carried mathematics alone would be, I carried every single semester. I used to carry it, and I completed only in my final semester. That's how it went actually. And after college, what I wanted to do, is something that I was not really very aware of. I thought, okay, food industry. I'm sure among the crowd here, at least 10 people would think that we should start a restaurant. I hope so. That's actually the craze the restaurant industry it looks very simple from outside. So people generally tend to think that, okay, why not we also start a restaurant? So I went to my father and I asked him, Dad, I want to start a restaurant. He said, no. I mean, you have to either, he asked me whether if you either want to get married, then you have to have a job. I said, yes, I want to get married, I want a job. So I will go for a job. So restaurant was, not that important for me at that point of time because marriage was very important. So joined a job in Pari, EID Pari. So I was with the TEDxSIST division in EID Pari. I worked there for almost a year. Very similar theory like what Satyabama was to EID Pari. So they actually also focused not only on the employees' benefit, but also they focus on the food. Now, food is one connection where I see here in Satyabama and as well as in EID Pari where I worked earlier. There used to be a buffet spread every single day, and more than I wanting to go and work there, I would just think what food would be there in the buffet next day. So that's the culture in TEDxSIST. So I went there, worked there for a year, and made some little earnings. Then again I went back to my father. I asked him, can I do a restaurant now? He said, okay, I mean, if it is your money, then you can do it. So what we did, we started Mary Brown franchising outlet in Trichy. That was way back in 2007. So that was a time when Mary Brown KFCs were very popular in Chennai. So we actually didn't have the guts to compete here locally. And so what I did, I had a very close friend of mine, his name is Srinivas. So I made sure that he was actually looking for an opportunity at that time. So I said, okay, why not we start something in Trichy? So we made him sit there, and we made sure that he operates that business for us. And I was continuing working here. I was with Dun & Bradstreet for almost close to 7 years after that. So completely into the IT background, but I made sure that my mind was always inside the restaurant. So every Saturday, Sunday, I used to go there, sit there, learn the business, learn the trade. So we made a very good profit in 2007. Until 2009, we had no issues. We were extremely doing well. And out of the profit, we being a conservative family, my father said, your profits invested on a land or a property. Have a property because you're going to get married. I said, okay, fine. We invested a property in near Ananagar, and I bought a flat in 2010. Yeah, 2010. So 2011, I got married, and the first thing I did was I put my papers. I said, my parents actually went to the US. My brother lives in the US now. So I just saw that as an opportunity. So the moment they left, I made sure that I'm going to drop my papers. I'm going to come out and stand on my legs and see what I can do in the Chennai food scene. So we started a restaurant in Nungambakkam High Road in the year 2009, and the rental that we paid at that given time was 4 lakhs a month. So that shows that I had absolutely no knowledge about the restaurant industry. So I didn't know how the math works, what amount of percentage can go towards the food cost, what amount can go towards the rentals. Nothing I knew about it. And then people around me, told me that like you have to start a restaurant, you need to have a central kitchen. So that was the idea that I had in mind. I mean, I was given to me, and I started a central kitchen in Pyramid. So that is around 10 kilometers from Nungambakkam to Pyramid, and that was absolute nonsense is what I know now, but at that time I didn't know. So, and people told me like, you have to open 3 or 4 restaurants to make profits. What I did, okay, fine, I opened one in Krumpet, one in Ananagar. So one thing that I am very good at is, speaking and communicating with my investors or my friends. So that's how I got a lot of investors. We opened up very quickly 3 or 4 restaurants, and all went for a toss. We incurred a big loss. Everything went in, and I had to sell out that property which I bought, out of my first earnings. Then 2013, we said, okay, fine, enough of all these experiments. So I took over a very legendary brand, and they were at that given time, they were 3 restaurants. So my expertise was communicating and getting things done. Expansion, franchising is what was my area of interest and expertise in. So they were very good in the cooking part. They were doing extremely well. They had the food was mind blowing. They did a great job. So we partnered together and we said, okay, fine. Now we will start building this brand to a big level. And I think 2013 onwards, I think till 2016 end, it was a roller coaster ride. So we made a lot of money, and the first thing I did was my mother had helped me with her jewels actually for my first initial investments. So first thing I made sure that I wanted to take this money and give it to my mother and make sure that she takes her jewels out. So that was the case until 2017. And 2017, you all know, demonetization came in, and I was flying here and there out of India. I was traveling all over. We did a lot of restaurants out of India too, and everything came to a standstill again. So I was really clueless, not knowing what to do, and I actually quit my role from that particular company. I came out, and it was a struggle all over. I thought, okay, I should go back to work, but nothing happened because I lost all the touch with my IT expertise. I lost everything. So I knew that I would not survive or fit into the new generation. So all right, so 2019, so it's a big year for me in my career. So 2019, December 1, we started a restaurant, which is again a family business. We started the same restaurant in Chennai under the name Erode Amman Mess in Adayar. It was a basement. Because why basement? Because the restaurants on the ground level, you're not going to get space because of the heavy rentals. So basement, the rentals are cheap. So we said, okay, fine, let's control our fixed cost. So we took up a space at a very less rental, got inside. We started December 2, 2019. There was heavy floods all over Chennai. And I said to myself, okay, fantastic, it's a great start. In Tamil, the thought process. For people who don't know Tamil, you touch anything, it does not prosper. So that is what I meant. So 2019, day 1, we had 18 customers, all in all. So we made sure that we will serve all these 18 customers with lots of love and affection. Treat them as family is what I thought. I'm sure many of you would have visited Pothys, Chennai Silks. A lot of people, when you enter the space, people will stand in front of you, and at least 10 people will say, "Vanakkam, vaanga." So this is one trick that we understood, and we wanted to do it in our restaurant. So when someone, we used to stare at the staircase because we are in the basement. Seeing anyone walking inside. So if one particular person comes, we all run in front of the staircase. Anna vaanga, vanakkam. So that's how we started. And that was actually the customer, when they walked in, they felt really little embarrassing and too much of attention on them. And we made this as a practice. So day 1, 18 people. Day 2, we had 36 people. Day 3, multiplied, 72 people. So we've been doing this continuously. And then came the beautiful COVID, everything. 3 months, we thought we are doing well and we thought we will rise, but COVID came. It took everyone for a ride. And 21 days, the lockdown, I would never forget. Every single day I used to wake up thinking that, tomorrow will be better, tomorrow will be better. But after 21 days, there was not a necessity for me to wake up because I lost the sense of sleeping. I was diagnosed with insomnia. And so that was a story at that time. And after 7 days of medication, counseling, I went back again, sat in the restaurant. So myself, my brother, my aunt, we just sat in the restaurant. We had no staffs actually. We took this as an advantage. we wanted to win. I mean, we had nothing to lose. We wanted to win. We had no stars with us. All we did was, like the government announced that the Zomato and Swiggy is going to deliver. You have very limited dining options. We said, yes, okay. Now, out of 10,000 restaurants in Chennai, to stand out is very difficult. If I have to stand among 10,000 people, it's very difficult. But among 1,000 people, if I'm going to stand out, it is less difficult. So all we took that courage. Like a lot of restaurants did not operate during the COVID season. So we made use of that. All I did was I used to work inside the kitchen, make food, come out, and I used to write a note, not a note, a letter, an essay. I used to say, Anna, Vanakkam, hope all is well with you. Hope you and your family are doing well. So, I used to write such a big letter for every single customer. We used to deliver handwritten, nothing, printed or stuff. I used to put every single letter in this and give it to them and to the delivery boys. Just after 3 months, I mean close to 3 months when the normal restaurant started operating, we had a lot of walk-ins coming in. We used to start the staircase again. So we saw a lot of people coming in. They said, I read your letter. So that was the moment, when I realized, okay, fine, God has heard us. Okay, now I thought, okay, now from this we have to capitalize. So we made sure every single customer walking in are treated as my family. So that was the only idea behind, our restaurant. That was the policy. And 2020, by end of 2020, E-Road Aman Mess was a brand. So it was a brand built by the customers, not us. They built it as a brand, they gave us the recognition. And in 2019, 18 customers. In 2025, by today, we are serving 10,000 customers a day. So that is what we see as success. And the resilience now, coming to the resilience. I think resilience is part and parcel of every single person here in the hall. I mean, right from a child, when a child falls down and you don't teach the child to get up. It's an instinct inside our body. They get up by themselves. And you have to learn the resilience from animals too. Animals like, a tiger or lion in the forest, they don't, they don't know what is failure. Failure is not something that an animal can understand. So if a lion or a tiger, tries to hunt and misses, I think it cannot again, it does not go and sit in a corner and cry. It goes for the next thing. So it is something that we'll have to develop in ourselves. Yeah, thank you so much. I'll take some questions maybe after the session. So if someone wants to have an interactive session, I'll be open to